Nicholas asks, is anime gay?
I don't even know what he's saying.
No,
anime?
It's a joke question.
Okay.
Obviously.
I don't. It's funny because Matt Walsh will rag on anime and people get super mad. So I've ragged on anime just because I know it upsets people. I don't really have strong feelings about it, but I don't watch it.
I'm okay with anime. I mean, I don't know about what the general storyline and things are, but the idea of calling a particular genre inferior because it's portrayed poorly in some instances. That's the other thing. I like Matt Walsh, and I like that he says things strongly, but just because he says things strongly doesn't mean you have to go along with everything he says. So when he says that it's gay to use emojis, and he probably means it, like, yeah, I don't care. I'm going to use an emoji.
For sure. I also think with anime, my impression is that he was trying to get a reaction out of people, and he probably does really believe it, but I kind of dogpiled on because I thought it was funny, and I was like, yeah, anime is bad.
You need to make a Freedom Toons cartoon where he is an anime character that just walks into an otherwise.
Gosh. Yes. Okay. We will make
what is anime?
You should make Matt's recurring
character anime. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. We'll make him an anime character. 100% down to do that, dude.
Mongoose Matt says, what's Seamus's favorite children's cartoon? I was a huge fan of the Flintstones and Hong Kong Phooey.
So it depends on if we're talking television or cinema. If you're talking about like animated children's content in general, or specifically things that are on TV, I'd have to think a bit about what it is exactly, like what cartoons I watched as a kid that I would look back and I'd say that was actually good. We didn't have cable, so pretty much only had broadcast television, which meant I was watching Arthur whenever I did watch a cartoon, like all the other kids who didn't have cable. I can't recommend that one. It was, you know, the jokes were written in a way I think where adults could appreciate it, but it was very PC even back then. But that was back when PC meant not acknowledging that our culture was Christian, more so than forcing gay stuff onto the audience like they did later on by having the teacher come out as gay. But King of the Hill is not for kids, but I love King of the Hill.
Fair enough.
No. If we're talking animation in general, I think
because you were shocked to learn that I just got into King of the Hill like 2 months ago.
King of the Hill is actually very well. King of the Hill is incredible, and Mike Judge is probably the best comedy character writer.
Is he the fella who wrote Beavis and Butthead?
Yes.
Has Beavis and Butthead gotten better? Because I used to watch it as a teen. I remember just being stupid.
Yes, but it's stupid, but it isn't. So it's stupid, but you have to be very high IQ to watch Beavis and Butthead. There's something underneath it, which is that Beavis and Butthead is a parody of that kind of behavior. And it's also a parody of the different approaches that adults will take to it. You would have thought, especially when it first came out, and my impression of it was before my time, but I thought of it as like, oh, this is the kind of punk rock show about those teenagers, and of course, because they're the protagonists, they must be people to emulate, and that's what the show is trying to tell you. But it's trying to tell you the opposite. And I remember the first time I watched it, I loved the hippie social studies teacher they have, or guidance counselor, who's like playing his guitar, and he thinks that he's gonna reach them in these sort of very like Rousseauian ways, like, we're gonna unlock your inner goodness, and it's really, really brilliant in a way that people don't give it credit for. And I also think that that's why it was successful. If Beavis and Butthead was what the modern world would like to see produced, and it was literally just, no, these guys are cool and what they're doing is cool, I don't think it would have caught on. I think everything that works has to have this tinge of truth in it. And so I definitely have a lot to say about animation, of course. I think the early Simpsons seasons, like 1 through 10, is the strongest television writing that there has ever been. It is unbelievably funny and incredibly well done. There are multiple jokes per line of dialogue in some scenes. So it's just written and punched up and punched up, and it's done so effectively well.
It might just be because I'm old, but what I appreciate about then no, need to continue
because you got the internet late in Australia.
Question.
No, keep going.
What I like about King of the Hill is it's not exhausting to me in a way that The Simpsons or these other shows are, where there's 800 jokes in one line, and it's kind of a sarcastic kind of humor. What King of the Hill at its best is just like this wholesome, slow, charming comedy that I like.
And The Simpsons at its best balanced that. So part of why later seasons of The Simpsons aren't as good is because they removed a lot of those wholesome elements There was one critic who summarized it perfectly. They said, Simpsons episodes used to end with Homer and Marge going on a tandem bike ride into the sunset, and now they end with episodes like Homer like blowing a blow dart into Marge's neck. But those are both episodes those are both actual endings, the actual episodes. It went from a very funny show that was at its core about a family in the lower middle class trying to fit in and make sense of the world around it, and into a show that placed the gag above the ethos and the character development. And then it just became a bunch of dumb, disjointed jokes. And now not only is it for a while it was just dumb, disjointed jokes, but there weren't even as many of them as there were when they kept to their initial internal philosophy. And part of that is because it's hard to generate organic humor based on who the character is and how they would react to a situation when you've continually abandoned that in the past for the sake of a cheap joke.
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. Would you like this beautiful, very high quality, definitely not made in China, not that there's anything wrong with that, Pints with Aquinas beer stein for free, sent to your door? Would you also like a copy of The Jill sent to your door 4 times a year? This is the Pints with Aquinas newspaper, by the way. If you do, go to mattfradd.locals.com and become an annual supporter for any amount. We'll send you that stuff for free, and you get a bunch of other free things in return. You'll get more information by going over to mattfradd.locals.com. Thanks.